Okay, so today, to deepen with yourself, we are going to do this thing where the very next time, like the game is, the very next time that you want to dodge responsibility or avoid responsibility, and maybe responsibility is not the right word, just avoid anything, the next time that you want to avoid or dodge anything, whether it's like someone's phone call, or I don't want to have to bring in all the stuff from the car tonight, I'll just leave it in there and deal with it tomorrow, or whatever, confront that. Instead of avoiding or dodging, and it could be those physical things, but it could be emotional things too, whatever, avoiding a conversation. Instead, confront it. Take full responsibility, like turn an about face directly into it, like turn and confront it. Even if it is something silly and trivial like unpacking the car, just, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and go and do it, Take the responsibility instead of avoiding it. Just for a change of pace, just to experiment and see what that's like. I'm not saying one is better than the other. There are times when it is absolutely nourishing to leave the crap in the car and handle it the next day. But as a change, you're going to take a time when you are wanting to avoid, notice that, so just like already an exercise and kind of like noticing when we want to avoid things, noticing that we are avoiding things, and like picking up on ourselves in this way where, you have to be aware of yourself to even notice that you're doing that. And then flipping it to try something different. Take responsibility instead, turn and confront it, deal with it head on. Okay, the car, I'm going to deal with it head on. And instead of not just, of leaving the stuff in the car, I'm going to unpack it. And not only am I going to unpack it, but I'm going to unpack it well. I'm going to unpack it, really put away the things that I don't usually, and like put them in a better place, in a completely efficient place, and a more organized place. I'm going to do the super duper, head-on tackling of it and really get it done. I'm also going to pull the trash out of the car too. I'm going to unpack the car like for real, not just the stuff I need, but also the garbage or whatever, just really do it and do it well, do it thoroughly, do the opposite, super, super opposite of avoiding it. Confront it head on and do it in the most responsible way possible, and just see how it feels. Notice the difference. Is that a more empowered feeling? I mean, it might be like, whoa, now I'm really tired because I just spent my evening unpacking the car and I didn't get the sleep that I needed, so that wasn't empowering. But in the moment of taking that head-on responsibility, was it empowering? Did it feel as bad as you thought? Was it like, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, I was avoiding this thing, but actually confronting it head on felt really good. Or was it scary and awful? Like, oh my God, that was so awful to have to, head on with that thing that I usually try to avoid. And then you maybe realize like, well, then avoiding it is what I need to do. In fact, I need to avoid it in the most responsible head-on way possible and actually just get that crap out of my life, like if it's a conversation that you're trying to avoid with a person and you think like it really was that horrible to deal with it head-on, maybe you need to get that person or that type of dynamic that you guys are having, that relationship, whatever, out of your life, because truly avoiding it is the most responsible thing to do, or the most empowering thing to do. So that's what I want to play with and just see, because man, this is like such a dynamic with us humans, this avoiding kind of thing, this avoiding versus dealing with head on. This is such a thing that just plays into our lives in so many ways. And like I said, sometimes avoiding is self-care. And so funny enough, like, intentionally avoiding and like setting up a new dynamic might be the best way to deal with that head on. But yeah, and then us not dealing with things head on gives us a lot of consequences, yet we do it all the time anyway. And, I don't know. I do feel like there is some empowered feeling in dealing with something head on. Even though sometimes it wasn't the best thing to do. I mean, leaving the stuff in the car is like a very personal example for me, where it's like sometimes I just have to, self-care requires that I have to avoid that right now. So it's not all the way, all the time, but there is an empowered feeling, even in cleaning out the car, that is something worth feeling and worth experimenting and worth asking yourself some questions about, how did that feel? What's my relationship like to taking things on head on? What is my relationship like to that? How often do I do that? Do I like it? Do I dislike it? So it's worth considering, and that's why I want us to play with this, see how you like it.